Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. So I've created this space where me and you, we talk about the things that men are thinking but rarely say aloud. And these are conversations about pressure and identity and purpose and responsibility in what really feels like the weight that we carry, and we carry it quietly. So I'm Don Crampert from Unstoppable Life, and I am going to be your host. And if this is your first time, it's your first time here, I'm really glad that you found us. And if you've been a loyal listener and been listening for a while, welcome back and welcome home. So this is that space where we talk about the things men were never taught to talk about. And it's the things that we carry quietly, the things that we perform through, we get through them. We force through them a lot of times, and it's the things we feel, but we rarely say aloud. So today's episode is going to be called The Loneliness No One Sees. And that's being surrounded by people we're very comfortable with, but feeling completely alone. And if this topic, just the title, if that hit you the second you heard the title, then stick around, because this episode is for not only you, but it was for me. So there's an invisible loneliness here, and it's something most people don't realize, particularly men. And it's some of the loneliest men on earth are not alone. We feel alone. And you know who they are. They're married. They have families. We work with teams. We lead companies. We coach teams. We sit at dinner tables surrounded by people. And yet, we feel completely disconnected. And we can be surrounded by noise and still live in silence. And we can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. I'll take it a step further. We can be loved and still feel unknown. And that loneliness is different from isolation. Isolation is physical. Loneliness, like this, feels emotional and psychological. And it's the loneliness of not feeling safe to be fully known or feel authentic. And for many men, it starts very slowly. And this is kind of how it begins. We're boys. Most of us boys grow up learning something without ever hearing or saying the words. We learn this: be strong. Don't cry. Stop complaining. Figure it out. And then we provide and protect and perform. And then over time, we learn a very dangerous lesson. Our values, they come from what we do, not who we are. Does this sound familiar to anybody? That was me right there, that whole description. So this is why men become providers and fixers and problem solvers and leaders and helpers. But we rarely are taught how to be expressors. No one really teaches us how to say, I feel overwhelmed, or I feel scared, or I feel lost. I don't know who I am right now. Can you hear your dad telling you that? Yeah, not mine. So we learn to translate feelings into silence, and that silence becomes our survival. So the loneliness of responsibility here, it's one of the many truths a lot of men that I've spoke to, including myself, live with. The more responsibility that we carry, the fewer places we feel safe to fall apart. We become the steady one, the dependable one, the rock. And I personally don't know any rocks that talk about their feelings. So people lean on us. People depend on us. They look to us for answers, and don't misinterpret what I'm saying here, okay? We operate in these roles willingly, and we have a lot of success in them. But the real challenge is, who do we lean on? Who do we lean on? Who asks us, how are you doing, and waits for a real answer? Who creates space for us to not have it all together? Many men I've spoke to, and this absolutely applies to me as well, We feel like we must stay strong for everyone else. So we slowly stop showing up the parts of ourselves that struggle. And not because we want to, because we believe we have to. So here's a piece of information that I've learned. It's about being surrounded but unknown. It's where the deep loneliness really lives. You know, we can be loved, and we know we are, but we are also feel unknown. Sometimes our partners may know our responsibilities, and our coworkers know our role, and our friends know our personality, but very few people really know our inner world. I call it our inner space. It's our fears, in our doubts, in our regrets, in our insecurities. I call these the quiet questions, or the quiet conditions. And these questions we have about our life and our future, no one knows except our inner world. So we start to feel like we're living life behind glass. We're present, but we're not seen. We're not heard. Or maybe we're heard but not understood. Or maybe we're appreciated but not known. And that, my friends, creates a loneliness that is hard to explain. So it's a trap, okay? And many of us are incredibly good performers. I'm great at it, or was great at it. And I know that I was one of those performers, and where I performed confidence, and I performed competence, and I performed stability. I know you're all familiar with that, and you've done that too. And we smile and we joke, but we keep conversations on the surface level. You know what I mean? Nothing too deep, nothing too revealing. And we avoid burdening others because deep down, we believe if people see the real struggle, they'll lose our respect, or they'll lose respect for me, maybe. So the performance continues. But here's the cost of that performance. The more we perform, the less people know the real us, the real you. And the less people know the real you, or the real me, the more alone we feel. And this is why this is so difficult and hurts. Okay, human beings are wired for connection. And I don't mean surface connection and not role-based connection. Real connection. Connection to be seen. Connections to be heard and understood. And connections to be accepted as we are. And when that doesn't happen, the brain misinterprets it and creates it as a danger. And that's why this loneliness doesn't just feel sad. It feels very heavy, and it becomes exhausting and draining and numbing. And many men describe it as, I feel empty, or I feel disconnected, or I feel like I'm just going through the motions. And that, my friends, is not weakness. It's just an unmet emotional connection. So there's a turning point. And here's what the part that matters the most. Okay, loneliness is not permanent. Okay, but it requires some courage. The courage to do something unfamiliar. The courage to slowly stop performing for everyone, and the courage to let people see pieces of the real us, the real you. Not all at once, and not dramatically, but gradually. See, real connections don't start with big confessions. It starts with small honesty. And just listen to this for a minute. Instead of, I'm fine, try, yeah, it's been a tough week. Instead of maybe, I've got it handled, how about, I'm still trying to figure it out. Maybe instead of being quiet and totally silent, just offer one small truth. Because that connection will grow, and the connections grow in honesty. And a message to the men listening here, if this episode resonates with you, I want you to hear this very clearly. You're not broken, you're not weak, and you're not the only one who feels this way. And I say this repetitively. Many men are quietly carrying the exact same weight of loneliness, and you're not alone feeling alone. The first step out is this invisible loneliness is recognizing it exists. The second step is allowing yourself to be known. Do it little by little, conversation by conversation, truth by truth. Let that be your movement forward. So thank you for spending time with me today. And if this episode spoke to you like it did me, share it with someone you might feel needs to hear it too. Because you never know who else is feeling this silent loneliness. And remember, you don't have to carry everything by yourself. It's absolutely necessary to ask for help. Tune in next week where our episode is very important. It's called The Battle After the Uniform. And we're going to be talking about the identity shift, the emotional transition, and the silent battles that many veterans, just like me, face after leaving the military service. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, keep showing up. Take the one step that's in front of you. And keep the momentum of open conversations and honesty moving. Because this is the truth about us.